What happens when the world's fastest racers leave the tight corners of Monaco and take on the 240-mile-per-hour chaos of the Indy 500? In 2025, Formula One stars didn't just show up, they took over. From shocking passes to terrifying crashes and unexpected podiums, here are the top 10 times F1 drivers stole the show at the 2025 Indy 500. Number 3 will leave you speechless. 10. Logan Sergeant leads opening laps. Nobody expected Logan Sergeant, barely out of the F1 midfield, to take control of the race right from lap 1. But that's exactly what he did. Starting from P7, he launched with laser focus, hugging the high line and making 3 daring passes before the second turn of lap 2. With an aggressive outside line and fearless drafting, he surged to the front and held the lead for an astonishing 11 laps. What made it even more impressive? He was up against seasoned oval veterans, and he made it look effortless. His car control in dirty air, the way he managed tire temperature in the early stint, and his split-second decision-making were praised even by IndyCar legends in the commentary box. By lap 12, the crowd at Turn 1 was on its feet, chanting his name, something almost unheard of for an F1 crossover rookie. And while he didn't finish on the podium, that opening burst proved one thing. Logan didn't come to participate. He came to shake things up. It wasn't just bold, it was pure F1 confidence unleashed on the oval. 9. Ricciardo's mic'd-up mayhem. Daniel Ricciardo may not have won the race, but he absolutely stole the spotlight, without even touching the top 5. Slotted mid-pack for most of the event, Ricciardo turned a routine caution period into one of the most talked-about moments of the 2025 Indy 500. Thanks to a team decision to leave his comms open for live broadcast, fans got unfiltered Ricciardo, and he delivered. Between laps 84 and 89, during a lengthy yellow flag, he cracked jokes about the Indy slipstream circus, took playful jabs at old F1 rivals now in the field, and dropped the instantly iconic line, "This makes Monaco look like bumper cars on NyQuil." The booth burst into laughter. Social media exploded. Within minutes, the clip had over 1.5 million views on X, formerly Twitter, with fans and even rival drivers reposting and reacting. Ricciardo's charm and timing turned a lull in the race into peak entertainment. More importantly, it sparked a wave of support for miking up drivers in real time, with fans calling it the future of motorsport coverage. He may not have lifted the trophy, but he reminded everyone why he's still the most charismatic man in racing. 8. Leclerc's pit stop gamble. Charles Leclerc, long praised for his calculated aggression in F1, brought that same high-stakes mindset to the brickyard. While most drivers followed the traditional 3-stop strategy, balancing tire wear, fuel loads, safety cars, Leclerc and his team decided to gamble. A bold 2-stop plan. On paper, risky. On track, almost genius. He started from P18, stuck in mid-pack traffic, but the strategy paid dividends during the second stint. By stretching his fuel windows and lifting strategically through Turn 3, he avoided pitting during a chaotic sequence of cautions that derailed many contenders. By lap 160, the Ferrari star was suddenly flying, lighter, faster, and ahead of schedule. He overtook 10 cars in just 15 laps, slicing through traffic with surgical precision. Each move screamed F1 discipline, minimal tire scrub, no wasted movement, and precise drafting. Commentators began wondering, could Leclerc actually pull off the impossible? For a moment, it looked like a podium was within reach, but a late yellow bunched the field, neutralizing his gap and forcing him to defend on old tires. Still, he finished P6, and proved that F1 strategy doesn't just belong in Europe. It can shake up Indianapolis, too. It wasn't enough for the win, but it was a masterclass in risk, reward, and pure racecraft at 230 km/h. 7. Pato versus Lando, the duel. It felt scripted, like something straight out of a racing movie. Lando Norris, making his much-hyped Indy 500 debut, went wheel-to-wheel with none other than Pato O'Ward, his former McLaren teammate and now a fan favorite IndyCar ace. The history between them added fuel to the fire, but no one expected this kind of showdown. With 30 laps to go, a late restart bunched the field, and there they were, side by side in P5 and P6. What followed was 5 laps of pure racing chaos, slingshot passes, razor-thin margins through Turn 1, and heart-stopping crossovers on the back straight. Neither lifted, neither blinked. The crowd was electric. The commentary box lost its mind, and social media lit up with fans calling it the most exciting duel of the decade. Pato, with his oval experience, attacked with perfect timing, but Lando's F1 reflexes and clean precision held firm. It wasn't dirty, it wasn't lucky, it was mutual respect pushed to the absolute limit. On lap 188, Norris made the final move, a gutsy outside pass into Turn 3, and held it. In the end, Norris edged him out, but both looked like gladiators, 2 worlds colliding in a blur of speed and skill, and for fans on both sides of the Atlantic, it was nothing short of unforgettable. 6. Sainz's last lap save. Carlos Sainz had been driving a composed, tactical race until everything nearly unraveled in the final moments. With just 2 laps to go, while battling for a top 8 finish, he dove into Turn 2 at a blistering 236 Seiters Interrick, just a few inches too wide. The result? A brush with the outer wall that sent a shudder through the entire grandstand. The rear snapped. Sparks flew. For a split second, it looked like he was headed straight into disaster. But then, magic. In a display of lightning-fast reflexes and insane car control, Sainz countersteered into the slide, caught the spin, and rebalanced the car mid-corner. The onboard footage showed his hands working the wheel with micro-adjustments as he somehow kept it off the wall, and in the race. He didn't just save the car, he kept his position. No yellow, no contact, just raw instinct and decades of racecraft packed into a half-second miracle. Commentators called it the most impressive car control of the entire 2025 Indy 500, and even rival teams gave him nods of respect post-race. Fans online dubbed it the Spanish save, and replays of the moment racked up millions of views within hours. For Carlos Sainz, it wasn't just survival, it was a statement. Even in the heart of Indy, F1 skill still rules the edge of control. 5. Albon's lightning restart. Alex Albon had been quietly climbing the field, playing it smart, staying out of trouble, until lap 172, when a late caution bunched the grid for what would be one of the final restarts. And that's when Albon pounced. As the pace car peeled off, most drivers hesitated for just a beat. But not Albon. With surgical precision, he anticipated the throttle point, tucked into the draft, and exploded out of Turn 4 like a missile. In the space of a single straightaway, he rocketed past 3 cars, threading the needle between the low line and the wall with millimetric clearance. It was clinical, it was fearless, and it was pure F1 timing, down to the fraction of a second. The commentators gasped. Cameras barely kept up. Even Indy veterans like Joseph Newgarden later admitted in interviews, that was textbook restart execution, maybe even better than what we're used to here. What made it so remarkable wasn't just the speed, it was how calculated it was. Albon had studied the restart tendencies of the field, anticipated who would brake check, and picked the exact moment to launch. No chaos, no guesswork, just a cold, calculated strike. In a race where so much depends on timing, Albon proved that F1 instincts can be weaponized on the oval, and on that restart, he looked unstoppable. 4. The Alonso effect, again. He's done it before, but in 2025, Fernando Alonso proved he's not just a legend, he's timeless. At 43 years old, with nothing left to prove, Alonso rolled into Indianapolis like a warrior returning to sacred ground, and yet, instead of playing it safe, he went all in. From lap 20 onward, he was locked in the top 5, trading positions with drivers half his age and outbraking them like it was 2005 all over again. One moment that lit up social media: a daring move into Turn 1, where he overtook 2 cars in a single sweep using a line no one else dared to touch all race. Commentators called it vintage Fernando. Drivers called it unbelievable. Fans? They just called it magic. But Alonso's impact wasn't just on track. Behind the scenes, he was seen mentoring younger F1 crossovers, giving tips on fuel trimming, tire cycling, and how to survive restarts in the Indy pack. Leclerc, Norris, and even Sergeant were spotted hanging around his pit box between sessions. And then there was the sign. One fan in the front row held it up as he passed under caution. Still the king. For a few laps, as Alonso diced it up with the best in the world at 230 mph, he absolutely was. He didn't win, but he didn't need to, because at Indy, legacy matters just as much as results. And Alonso's just got bigger. 3. Russell's crash. That froze the track. George Russell's crash on lap 147 wasn't just violent, it was surreal. A heart-stopping moment that sent a shockwave through the entire Indy 500 crowd. Coming into Turn 2, Russell was battling hard for a top 5 position, wheel-to-wheel with a seasoned oval ace. But just as he went for a gap, contact sent his car skidding sideways. The rear clipped the concrete barrier at full throttle, launching the car into a wild, uncontrollable spin. Sparks flew. Tires screamed. Debris scattered across the track as his car pirouetted dangerously close to the wall, almost upside down in slow motion. For a moment, everything stopped. The roar of the crowd faded into stunned silence. No one moved. The tension was palpable. Hearts racing as marshals scrambled onto the track. Then, miraculously, Russell climbed out on his own, unscathed. His calm wave to the cameras said it all. Relief, resilience, and raw determination. Within minutes, the onboard and broadcast footage went viral, flooding social media with stunned reactions, tributes, and prayers. It wasn't just a crash, it was a moment that froze the track, reminding everyone of the razor-thin line between glory and disaster at 230 mph. 2. Verstappen's mechanical heartbreak. Max Verstappen was in total command. From the drop of the green flag, he carved through the field with ruthless efficiency, leading more than 100 laps and looking every bit the favorite to win the 2025 Indy 500. His car was flawless, his pace unmatched, the kind of dominance that left fans breathless and pundits calling it a masterclass in oval racing. The energy in the stands was electric, as if the race was already won. But then, on lap 181, tragedy struck. Without warning, a mechanical failure in the engine sent warning lights flashing on the dashboard. Verstappen felt the power drop, a sputter, and knew instantly something was wrong. His crew scrambled in the pits, desperation clear on their faces. The car limped back to the garage, but the damage was done. Max was forced to retire while still leading. The silence in the stands was deafening. Cameras caught the pit crew's devastated faces, disbelief mixed with heartbreak. It wasn't just a mechanical failure. It was the moment that robbed fans of what could have been the first F1-driven Indy 500 win in decades. A cruel reminder that at the highest level of motorsport, glory and heartbreak are separated by mere milliseconds. 1. Oscar Piastri on the podium. No one had this on their bingo card. Oscar Piastri, in his first Indy 500, drove with surgical precision, saving fuel, picking perfect lines, and seizing every opportunity. He finished P3, shocking even his own team. It wasn't just a podium, it was the birth of a new Indy legend. From fearless passes to viral moments, F1 drivers didn't just race, they stole the spotlight. Which moment blew your mind the most? Drop your favorite in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more epic racing breakdowns. This was the 2025 Indy 500, and F1 made it unforgettable.